Good afternoon, YouTube. This is man all the way George Page coming to you live on YouTube. Well, I got some bittersweet news to tell you. And I'm going to dedicate this to my brothers, Exeguchi 23, Weave the Watcher, my sister Miss Fishiana, and my brother the Coach. As you know, they're like me. They're wrestling fans, and we love watching wrestling. We wrestling, not wrestling. Wrestling, the stuff we used to grow up with, not the stuff that's on now. And I watch wrestling. I do watch wrestling, but I watch more of the independent stuff. It seems like they're more, they put more of their hearts to it than what's on now. It's just, it's just, bit garbage. Anyway. So anyway, I saw this yesterday, and I just couldn't believe it. It was some sad news that Mr. Wonderful himself, Paul Orndoff, has passed away. And this is just a sad thing to hear. I mean, and I used to, growing up, I watched wrestling. I mean, I remember him from the back of the WWF, not WWE, WWF days. And this was before the Attitude Era. This was back in the day where it was fun, it was entertaining. It was real wrestling back then. Anyway, Paul Orndoff Jr., he's a junior, was originally, he started his career as a football player. He played football for a time. He was from originally from Virginia, and then around about the good part of the 80s, the 70s, 80s, he got into professional wrestling, and he wrestled for certain like National Wrestling Association, or another word, NWA, for a few years, and he became a star there. He met several wrestlers and had friends, especially one by a wrestler by the name of Terry Burrell, as you know, aka Hulk Hogan. And as you know, I was a fan of Hulk Hogan, but yeah. But anyway, he wrestled for like Mid-South Wrestling and so many other organizations. But then he got his opportunity to wrestle for WWF. And he earned a lot of titles during his time. He wrestled alongside with people such as Jimmy Superfly Snuka. I mean, Superfly, and rest in peace of Superfly too. And then, he got this opportunity, became Mr. Wonderful on the WWF. And, that was, a great job. He had a great, he was just a great actor. He kind of had that Ric Flair-like to him. Not much like Ric Flair, but, just a lot of, he just had that class to him. And then his relationship with Hulk Hogan was one thing. They wrestled together. They often did tag teams together. But then, like anything, the relationship broke up. One time I used to call them the tan towers. He went the power towers. They were the tan towers. There was always tan, and it was just the relationship broke up because issues. Hulk Hogan was a big star then, and Paul Orndorff, he didn't want to be a second banana. So, he went on his own. He was managed by Bobby the Brain Heenan, and rest in peace also. That's another one that just a classic, great man with mouth, know how to talk. And, he started on his own. And him and, he was always had a look to him. He had that being a professional football player, being fit, and this is what I found out. He played for both the Kansas City Chiefs and the New Orleans Saints. Wow. I mean, I was doing researching. I mean, he had a history, and his rivalry with Hulk Hogan, his tag team partnership with the Roddy Ryan Piper when they fought against Mr. T. I mean, I remember seeing some of that. I think before pay-per-view, we didn't used to have pay-per-view. Most times you have to wait till like on the weekends where they show it later on, like the week later, And him and Hulk Hogan, they had some wars. I mean, just straight battles. Everything. From I think a couple of WrestleManias, I believe, and even had a cage battle. I mean, those cage battles were the greatest. I mean, you two men into here, one man leave. I mean, but after a while, they just couldn't do much with him. I mean, he just. It was just not much. I mean, his career with WWE was for a good while, for about at least 5 years. And then he eventually joined up with WCW around about the about the early 90s, and he found a new life there. You know, he was back to wrestling. He even was a champion for a bit. And then he met up with a young upcoming wrestler by the name of Paul Roma, and they started their own tag team and became tag team champions for a while. And I remember that. I forgot the name of the tag team. I was researching. I can't remember, but it was pretty good. I mean, it was right about the good part of the good 90s and the 2000s, and then for a while he was doing announcers and commentary work for different organizations, even for WCW for a time. I mean, one time he had his arm got real hurt real bad. He was in a kind of sling, so he couldn't do much. I remember one time he took it off. It was kind of weird because he couldn't work out as much as he used to. And then was a few years ago, he was inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame, and it was rightfully deserved. I mean, he earned that. I mean, the hard work he put in, the things he did. I mean, he was a legend. I mean, Mr. Wonderful, But, after a while, he did like so many other older wrestlers. He did a lot of conventions. He, I think some Comic Cons, did autographs, meet and greets, he just was living his life. He wasn't doing too well, like many men in the, he got a little older, he got sicker. Some say the issues could have been from, there was that issues with steroids, and he was, he was living with his girlfriend in Fayetteville, Georgia. I know it was Fayetteville, Georgia. Now, he married his first wife, Rhonda, around about the 70s, and they had some children. And that's Paul the Third and Travis. And he has 8 grandchildren. And he lived his life. He was one of those great ones. I mean, he had that style and look to him. He was kind of what you call the pretty boy wrestler back in the day. He was before like the who am I trying to think of? Who I'm trying to like before the Ravishing Rick Rudes and the Mr. Perfects. They modeled themselves after Paul Orndoff. But he was a great guy. It's just sad to hear that his passing. And to live as long as he had lived, 71 years old when he passed. And just the things he's done and we're not going to talk about the other stuff because it's not that important. When somebody passes away, all the other stuff's not that important. But like I said, I was a fan of his as a kid. I grew up watching, like I said, classic wrestling. It's just, one of these things just to hear like a great man, just to hear his in passing, just, just I feel like the little kid in me, it feels brokenhearted. So anyway, I like to say I want to give respect I want to say my condolences to his family, his sons, his grandchildren, his other relatives, his friends, anybody who known him, and I just want to say rest in peace to Mr. Wonderful because he was wonderful, and I would say that again. Rest in peace, Mr. Wonderful. We're gonna miss you. You should be on our George page. Don't like, subscribe, don't subscribe. I'm out.